Rain fell in slow, tired drops, tapping against the metal roof of the small house at the edge of the colony city. The city lights flickered far away, like they were unsure if they wanted to stay awake. Most people were asleep. Nothing important ever happened in this part of town. Evan Calder sat alone at his kitchen table, staring at a half-finished mug of tea that had already gone cold. He had come home late from work again. Systems maintenance always ran longer than planned, especially when old machines refused to behave. He was used to it. Quiet, routine, predictable. His life fit together like that. The house was small but clean. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a narrow kitchen, and a living area that felt bigger than it was because there was so little inside it. Evan never felt the need to fill the space. He had learned to live with less. A soft sound broke the silence. At first, Evan thought it was the rain. Then, he heard it again. A knock. He frowned and looked toward the front door. No one ever came by this late. Delivery drone stopped running hours ago, and his neighbors minded their own business. The sound came again. Clear this time. 3 gentle taps. Evan stood slowly, listening. His heart beat a little faster, not from fear, but confusion. He checked the wall display. No alerts. No warnings. No incoming visitors listed. Another knock followed, quieter than before. He walked to the door and paused, his hand hovering near the handle. For a moment, he considered ignoring it. Whoever it was would probably go away. That would be the sensible thing. But something about the knock felt wrong. Not threatening, not demanding, just tired. Evan opened the door. At first, he didn't understand what he was seeing. A figure stood on his doorstep, soaked from the rain. She was about his height, maybe a little shorter. Her clothes were unfamiliar, smooth, dark fabric that reflected light strangely, like it wasn't quite solid. Her skin was pale, almost silver under the streetlight. Her eyes were large, dark, and shining with exhaustion. She wasn't human. Evan's mind froze. No alarms went off. No dramatic thoughts rushed in. Just a deep, heavy silence filled his head. The alien woman swayed slightly, as if standing took effort. She looked at him, her expression uncertain. Her lips moved, and she spoke. But the sounds were strange, soft, flowing, and completely meaningless to him. She stopped when he didn't respond. For a long moment, they just stood there, rain falling between them. Evan finally noticed the device in her hand. It was small, cracked, and flickering with weak light. Whatever it was, it looked broken. She lifted it slightly, then shook her head. Her shoulders dropped. Sorry, she said suddenly in rough, heavily accented English. The words sounded like they were pulled from deep memory rather than learned properly.
No, go. Evan swallowed. His voice came out quieter than he expected.
You... lost?
She blinked, then nodded slowly, as if relieved that he understood something. Yes. Another pause followed.
The rain grew heavier. You can't stay out here, Evan said, stepping aside without fully thinking it through.
You'll, come in.
Please. She hesitated. Her eyes flicked behind him, into the house, then back to his face. After a moment, she stepped forward carefully, like she expected the floor to disappear beneath her. As soon as she crossed the doorway, the rain stopped touching her. Evan closed the door behind them, sealing the quiet back inside. She looked around the house slowly, taking in every detail, the walls, the lights, the furniture. Her eyes lingered on small things, a chipped mug on the counter, a stack of old data tablets, a folded blanket on the couch. This is home? She asked. Yes, Evan said. It's not much, but it's dry. She nodded again, then seemed to notice how tired she was. Her shoulders sagged, and she leaned slightly against the wall. Evan moved quickly, grabbing the chair from the table and setting it near her. Sit, he said gently. She obeyed, lowering herself with care. Once seated, she let out a slow breath she seemed to have been holding for a long time. I am Asha, she said after a moment, touching her chest lightly. Thank you. I'm Evan, he replied. He watched her carefully, noticing how human she seemed in small ways. How she held herself, how her voice carried emotion, even when her words struggled. He poured fresh water into a clean glass and offered it to her. She studied it, then drank slowly. Her eyes closed briefly, like the simple act brought comfort. Neither of them spoke for a while. Evan's thoughts finally caught up to him. An alien, in his house. No warning, no ships in the sky, no news reports. Just a knock on his door. Are you being chased? He asked carefully. Asha shook her head. No. Are you hurt? She thought for a moment, then shook her head again. Tired. Lost.
That's better than the alternatives, Evan said quietly.
Asha tilted her head, watching him closely. You are calm, she said. Most humans are not calm. Evan gave a small, tired smile. I think I ran out of surprises years ago. She seemed to accept that answer. After another pause, she lifted the broken device in her hand. This should not have failed, she said softly. I was not meant to arrive like this. What were you meant to do? Evan asked. She hesitated, her fingers tightening around the device.
Observe, she said. Listen.
Learn. Leave without being seen. Evan leaned back against the counter. And instead, you knocked on my door. Yes. Something passed through her expression. Fear, maybe. Or regret. Your kind was not meant to notice us yet. That sentence landed heavily in the quiet room. Evan didn't ask who us was. He didn't ask how many of them existed or where they came from. Right now, all he saw was someone who looked like she had nowhere else to go. You're safe here, he said finally. At least for tonight. Asha looked at him, truly looked at him, like she was trying to understand something deeper than his words. Why? She asked. Evan shrugged.
Because you asked for help. Because you're here.
Because it's the right thing. Her eyes widened slightly at that, as if the answer surprised her more than anything else that night. Outside, the rain continued to fall, unnoticed by the rest of the sleeping city. Inside the small house, two strangers sat quietly, separated by the vast distance between worlds, and connected by a single open door. Asha leaned back in the chair, exhaustion finally claiming her. Just a little time, she said. Then I will find a way. Evan nodded. We'll figure something out. He didn't know how true that was. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But for now, that was enough. And somewhere far beyond the clouds, the universe shifted, just a little, because a human had answered a knock. Morning light entered the house, slowly, pale and soft, like it was unsure if it was welcome. Evan woke before his alarm, lying still for a moment, as his mind tried to remember why something felt different. Then he heard quiet movement. He sat up quickly, heart jumping, and looked toward the living area. Asha was awake. She stood near the window, not touching it, only watching the outside world with deep focus. The city beyond the glass was coming to life. Ground traffic moved in slow lines. A delivery drone passed overhead. Somewhere, people were starting their day without knowing anything had changed. Asha turned when she sensed Evan watching her. I did not mean to wake you, she said softly. You didn't? Evan replied, rubbing his eyes. I usually wake up early anyway.
That was only partly true.
Still, he didn't mind. Seeing her standing there made the strange events of the night feel real again. Not a dream, not stress. She was still here. Did you sleep? He asked. She nodded, slowly. Your resting surface is very kind. Evan smiled a little. That's one way to describe a couch. Asha stepped back, giving him space as he moved into the kitchen area. He started preparing something simple. Heated grain bars and warm water turned into tea. He worked on habit, letting routine calm him. Asha watched closely.
You perform tasks without assistance, she said. Your dwelling is small, yet complete.
Nothing special. She shook her head slightly. It is yours. That matters. Evan paused at that, then handed her a mug. She accepted it with care, her fingers wrapping around it like she was memorizing the warmth. They ate in silence at first. Not uncomfortable, just thoughtful. After a while, Evan spoke. What happens now? Asha lowered her mug. I do not know. That answer surprised him. You don't have a plan. I had one, she said. It failed. She reached into the small pouch at her side and removed the broken device again. In the daylight, it looked even worse. Cracked surface. Unstable glow. This was my anchor, she said. My path home.
My shield. Without it, I am visible.
Visible to who? Evan asked. Asha hesitated. Too many. That was not comforting. Evan leaned back in his chair. Is Earth in danger? Her eyes widened slightly. No, not from me. And not yet from others.
Yet, he repeated. Yes, she admitted.
Your world is observed. Quietly.
Carefully, by your people and others, she said.
Many civilizations watch younger ones. Yours is interesting. Evan gave a short laugh. That's one word for it. Asha studied him.
You joke.
Even now. It helps, he said simply. She seemed to think about that. As the morning continued, Evan explained his routine. He needed to go to work. He couldn't call in sick without questions being asked, and questions led to attention. Attention was bad. You can't come with me, he said gently. Not yet. I understand, Asha replied. I will remain unseen. That's good, Evan said.
How? She touched a thin band around her wrist. It shimmered briefly, then faded.
Perceptual drift, she explained. I exist slightly outside expectation. Most humans will look past me without realizing. That sounds dangerous, Evan said. It is temporary, she assured him. Still uneasy, Evan showed her how to lock the door, how to access water, how to adjust the temperature. He left her with simple instructions and a clear warning. If anything happens, don't open the door for anyone. I will not, she said. Before leaving, Evan stopped at the doorway and looked back at her. She stood in the center of his home, surrounded by human objects she did not fully understand. You'll be okay for a few hours? He asked. Yes, she replied. Then, after a pause, thank you, again. Evan nodded and stepped outside. Work passed slowly. Evan struggled to focus. Machines hummed. Screens blinked. His hands moved automatically, but his thoughts stayed at home. An alien observer in his living room. No one noticed anything different about him. No alarms went off. The world kept turning. By the time he returned home, the sun was already lowering. The house lights turned on automatically as he entered. Asha sat on the floor near the table, several items spread carefully around her. She looked up when he arrived. You reorganized my house, Evan said lightly. She seemed embarrassed. I wish to understand your objects. I returned them to their places. Evan glanced around. Everything was exactly where it belonged. Better than I would have done, he said. Asha relaxed. They talked as evening came. About Earth. About humans. About small things. Evan explained weather patterns, art, music, the strange human love for stories that imagined the impossible. You imagine us, Asha said softly. Yeah, Evan replied. For a long time. Her expression became thoughtful. And yet, when I arrived, you were not afraid. I was, he said. I just didn't let it decide for me. That seemed to stay with her. Later, Asha grew quiet. She stared at the device again, trying to activate it, adjusting settings that meant nothing to Evan. Each attempt ended the same way, with fading light.
It cannot be repaired here, she said finally.
Your materials are too different.
So what does that mean? Evan asked. She looked at him.
It means I am stranded. The word felt heavy. For how long? He asked.
I do not know, she said honestly. Days?
Months. Longer. Evan exhaled slowly. Okay, she repeated. We'll figure something out, he said again, though this time his voice was steadier. You don't have to solve everything alone. Asha studied him with open confusion. Why do you continue to include yourself in my problem? Evan leaned against the counter. Because it stopped being just your problem the moment you knocked on my door. Silence followed, not empty, full. Later that night, Asha stood at the window again. Evan joined her. Do your people care about you? He asked. Yes, she said. But care does not always allow interference. That sounds lonely. It is, she admitted. Evan nodded. Humans are bad at that, not interfering. She looked at him. I am beginning to see that. Outside, stars appeared faintly above the city glow. Asha stared upward, eyes reflecting distant light. My people fear yours, she said quietly. Why? Evan asked. Because you help without permission, she replied. Because you act before consensus. Because you care individually. Evan thought about that.
We're not perfect. I know, Asha said. That is part of it. She turned to him.
You are unpredictable. That frightens the galaxy. Evan gave a tired smile. We frighten ourselves sometimes. Asha watched him for a long moment. If I am discovered, she said, choices will be made. Not all of them kind. Evan met her gaze. Then we'll make better ones first. For the first time, she smiled. Not practiced, not cautious. Real. Somewhere far away, systems designed to monitor silence detected something unexpected. A deviation. And on Earth, in a small house no one cared about, humanity continued doing what it always did best, helping before being asked. The days that followed settled into a strange rhythm. Evan went to work. Asha stayed inside. At night, they talked. It felt unreal how quickly it became normal. Asha learned fast. She learned how human time worked, how days were measured by work and rest, how people rushed even when they were not late. Evan explained small things without thinking about them. Why humans drank warm drinks when they were tired. Why they filled silence with sound. Why they named places and objects even when no one else cared. Asha listened carefully to everything.
You build meaning from habit, she said one evening, even when there is no survival value.
We like stories, Evan replied, even when life isn't one. That made her quiet. She spent hours reading from Evan's old data tablets, history, fiction, news archives. Evan watched her reactions from a distance. Sometimes she tilted her head in confusion. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she stared at the screen for a long time without moving. "You imagined the universe before you touched it," she said one night. "You were not content with silence." "Silence makes us nervous," Evan said. "It should," she replied softly. On the fourth day, Asha stopped trying to fix her device. Evan noticed because she stopped carrying it everywhere. It rested on the table now, untouched. "It will not answer," she said when he asked. "Not here! So, what does that mean?" Evan asked again. Asha looked toward the window where the city lights glowed faintly. "It means time becomes dangerous," Evan frowned. "For you? For everyone," she said. She explained slowly, carefully, like she was choosing each word with weight. Her people were watchers, not rulers, not protectors. They observed emerging civilizations and shared information with others who did the same. Together, they tried to guide the future by avoiding it. "Your species breaks patterns," she said, again and again. Evan leaned forward. "That doesn't sound bad." "It is not evil," Asha agreed, "but it is disruptive." She explained that humans had been marked as a future variable, capable of great cooperation or great damage, often without clear reason. No single authority guided humanity. No unified response existed.
"You act before you are ready," she said. "We learn by messing up," Evan replied.
"Yes," she said. "That is why you advance so quickly." That night, Evan noticed something new. Asha flinched. It was small. A brief tension in her shoulders, a pause in her breathing. "What's wrong?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Her eyes focused on nothing, like she was listening to something far away. "There is pressure," she said finally. "A shift." Evan stood. "From who?" She shook her head. "I do not know yet, but they are closer." That word settled heavily between them. Closer. The next morning, Evan saw it too. A flicker in the air near the corner of the room. Like heat distortion, but wrong. Asha noticed his reaction immediately. "You can see it," she said quietly. "Yeah," Evan replied. "I think I can." Her expression tightened. "That should not be possible." Evan swallowed. "That's bad, isn't it?" "Yes. It means your mind is adapting." "That sounds good for you," she said. "Not for secrecy." By the end of the week, Evan noticed more. He felt watched sometimes, not by eyes, but by attention. Like standing near a conversation without hearing the words. Asha confirmed it. "Passive scans," she said.
"They are careful?"
"Are they hostile?" Evan asked. "No," she said.
That makes them more dangerous. Evan sat back heavily. "So what happens now?"
Asha looked at him. "Now they decide what humans are." That night, she told him the truth she had avoided. Some civilizations, when discovered too early, were isolated. Not destroyed, not harmed, simply excluded. Their expansion limited. Their signals dampened. Their future quietly shaped by others who believed they knew better.
"Soft control," Evan said. "Yes," Asha replied.
"They call it protection." Evan clenched his hands. "And you?" "If I am found here," she said, "it will confirm their fears." Silence filled the room.
Evan stood and began pacing. "So what do we do?" Asha watched him closely.
"You cannot do anything." Evan stopped. "That's not acceptable." She tilted her head.
"That is a very human response." He looked at her. "You said humans scare the galaxy because we help without permission." Yes, then maybe that's what we do, he said. We don't wait. Asha's eyes widened slightly. You would interfere with them? Evan said. With a bunch of aliens watching us without asking? Yeah.
That would be unprecedented, she said.
So was knocking on my door, Evan replied. Asha considered this carefully. Your systems are not designed for interstellar communication. But they're noisy, Evan said. We broadcast all the time. She looked at him sharply. You would announce yourselves? No, Evan said. We'd tell a story. She waited. Evan explained his idea slowly. Not a message of power, not a threat, just proof. Proof of choice, proof of character. Asha listened, and for the first time, she looked uncertain. Not afraid, but conflicted. You would expose yourselves voluntarily, she said. We already do, Evan replied. Every day. We just didn't know anyone was listening. That night, Asha made a decision. She removed the band from her wrist and placed it on the table. The air shimmered briefly, then settled.
They will see me now, she said. Evan stared at her.
You don't have to. I do.
She interrupted gently. Waiting is a choice, too. Moments later, the room changed. Not visually, emotionally. The pressure intensified, like standing near something vast and quiet.
Asha straightened. They are here, she said.
Evan felt it too, a presence without form. A question without words. Asha closed her eyes. Whoa. They are asking why I am here. Evan stepped forward. Tell them. She hesitated.
They are not asking you. Doesn't matter, Evan said. I'm answering anyway.
Asha opened her eyes, slowly. She spoke, not aloud, but through the device, through human systems, through open channels never meant for this purpose. The signal was messy, imperfect, human. She told them about a knock in the rain, about a door that opened, about shelter offered, without understanding consequences. She told them that humanity had not been prepared, but had acted anyway. Evan felt the weight lift slightly. They're listening, Asha said. And? Evan asked. They are confused, she replied. You were supposed to react with fear, or control, or denial. Evan smiled faintly. We're bad at scripts. The presence lingered. Then paused. Asha exhaled. They are reconsidering. Evan leaned against the wall, exhausted. Is that good? Yes, she said.
It means humanity is no longer invisible.
Outside, the stars burned quietly, unaware that something had shifted. For the first time, the galaxy was not just watching humanity. It was trying to understand it, and in a small house on the edge of a city, one human had proven that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe was kindness offered without permission. The silence that followed felt different from before. It was no longer empty. It was listening. Evan sat on the edge of the couch, elbows on his knees, breathing slow and careful. Asha stood near the center of the room, eyes unfocused, her attention clearly somewhere far beyond the walls of the house. They are discussing, she said quietly. That sounds serious, Evan replied. It is, Asha said. They do not often pause. How long does that take? Evan asked. Asha hesitated. It has never happened before. That answer made Evan laugh softly, though there was no humor in it. Figures. Minutes passed, then longer. Evan became aware of small details again. The hum of the house systems, the distant sound of traffic, the faint vibration in the floor. Normal things. Human things. Asha finally moved. She sat down slowly, like the weight of attention was pressing on her. They are divided, she said. About what? Evan asked. About you, she replied. Evan blinked. Me? Specifically? You are a symbol now, Asha said. A data point that does not fit. That's not comforting, Evan said. They are trying to decide if you are an exception, she continued, or a warning. Evan leaned back. So what did you tell them? The truth, she said.
That you are ordinary. That definitely won't help, Evan muttered.
Asha looked at him.
It does, because you are not special.
You are not trained. You hold no authority. And yet, you chose involvement. Evan stared at the floor.
I just didn't want you alone. That, Asha said softly, is exactly the problem.
The presence returned. Stronger now. Not aggressive.
Focused. Asha closed her eyes again. They wished to observe further. Evan tensed. Observe how? Through me, she said. Through interaction. Through proximity. So... You stay here? Evan asked. Yes, she replied. And they watch what happens. Evan let out a slow breath. That feels invasive. It is, Asha said. But it is also an opportunity. For what? Evan asked. For humanity to be seen clearly, she said. The following days changed in small but important ways. Asha stopped hiding completely, not openly visible, but no longer fully distant from perception. Evan noticed people hesitating near the house, looking toward it without knowing why, feeling something they could not name.
Are they sensing you?
Evan asked one evening. They are sensing choice, Asha replied. Evan frowned. That's worse. Yes, she agreed. At work, Evan noticed subtle changes too. Conversations drifted toward big questions. Space. Meaning. Humanity's future. No one mentioned aliens. No one mentioned first contact. But the curiosity felt sharper, like a question forming before words existed. One night, Asha asked Evan something unexpected. Do humans believe they deserve the stars? She asked. Evan thought about it.
Some do, some don't.
Most of us just want to survive the week. That uncertainty troubles them, Asha said.
Most civilizations decide early. Expansion or isolation.
Control or restraint.
And we just...
Don't, Evan said. Yes, she replied.
You argue with yourselves constantly. Evan smiled slightly. That's how we make progress. She looked at him.
That is how you make chaos. Same thing sometimes, Evan said. The observers returned again, more clearly this time. Not as pressure, but as clarity. They want to speak. Asha said. Evan stood. To who? To humanity, she replied. But they do not know how.
Evan laughed once, sharp and tired.
Welcome to the club. Asha tilted her head.
They want a representative. Evan froze. No,
They believe you are ideal.
she said.
Absolutely not, Evan replied. I fix machines for a living. I'm bad at talking to people. That is why? Asha said. You are untrained. Evan ran a hand through his hair. This is a terrible idea. They agree, Asha said, which makes it acceptable. Evan stared at her. You're enjoying this. A little, she admitted. The message, when it came, was not spoken. It was a request, not a demand, not an order. A simple question, transmitted through layers of translation and perception. Why do you help? Evan didn't answer right away. He thought of his parents, long gone, who taught him to hold doors open and share meals. He thought of strangers who helped him when they didn't have to. He thought of how often humans failed, and how often they tried again anyway. We don't know how not to, he said finally. Asha translated. The observers paused. Another question followed.
What do you expect in return?
Evan shook his head. Nothing. Asha hesitated. They will not understand that. Tell them anyway, Evan said. She did. The silence that followed felt stunned.
They are confused, Asha said softly. In most cultures, assistance creates debt.
Yeah, Evan replied.
We struggle with that too, but we keep trying. A third question formed.
What if your kindness causes harm? Evan closed his eyes.
Then we try to fix it.
Asha's voice was very quiet when she translated that. The presence receded slightly.
They're not used to answers like these,
she said.
You are
Morally inefficient.
Evan laughed.
That's one way to put it. That night, Asha admitted something she had not before. My people feared yours, she said, standing by the window. Not because of your weapons. Not because of your numbers.
But? Evan asked.
Because you bond, she said.
Quickly, deeply.
Across difference. Evan didn't respond. They fear that if humanity reaches the stars, she continued, you will not stay distant. You will involve yourselves. You will care.
Evan looked at her. Sounds like a compliment. In the galaxy, she said, it is a risk. Days later, the observers delivered a response.
They would not isolate Earth. They would not accelerate contact. Instead, they would do something unprecedented. They would wait.
They are choosing uncertainty, Asha said, awe in her voice. Because of you. Because of us, Evan corrected.
Asha smiled at that. But waiting is not nothing, she added.
They will continue to watch. To test.
Evan nodded. We're used to that.
That evening, Asha packed her few belongings. Evan noticed and felt a sudden weight in his chest. You're leaving? He asked.
Not yet, she said, but soon. Where will you go? Evan asked.
Between, she replied, as a voice. For who? Evan asked.
For humanity, she said. Evan swallowed.
That sounds lonely. Yes, she admitted. But it is necessary. They stood together in the quiet house, both aware that something was ending, and something much larger was beginning.
You changed things? Evan said softly. Asha shook her head.
You revealed them. Outside, the city continued as always. Inside, history rested briefly, gently, in the space between two people from different worlds. Humanity had not reached the stars yet, but the stars were already adjusting to humanity. The last night felt quieter than the others. Not empty, not sad, just still. Evan sat at the kitchen table, staring at nothing in particular. The house felt larger than before, even though nothing had changed. The chair across from him was occupied, but soon it would not be. Asha stood near the window, watching the stars. She no longer hid herself. There was no reason to. Those who mattered already knew she was there. They are ready, she said softly. Evan nodded. So are you. She turned to look at him. Her expression carried something human now, hesitation mixed with resolve.
I will not be gone forever, she said. But I will be elsewhere. Representing us? Evan said. Yes, she replied. Explaining you. Evan gave a small laugh. Good luck with that, she smiled. It will take time. They had not told anyone else. No governments, no authorities, no grand announcements. Humanity's first quiet step into the wider universe would not be led by power or control, but by trust. That felt right. Asha moved closer and placed the repaired device on the table. It no longer flickered. Its surface glowed softly, steady and calm. Your world has been marked, she said. Not as a threat, not as prey. As what? Evan asked. As a question, she said. Evan leaned back. We're good at those. She hesitated, then added, Some fear you still. That's fair, Evan said. But many are curious, she continued. And some hopeful. That word settled between them. Hopeful. The device activated without sound. The air in the room shifted, not violently, not suddenly, but gently, like reality making room. Asha looked around one last time at the walls, the furniture, the quiet human mess of everyday life. This place, she said, will be remembered. Evan frowned. It's just a house. She shook her head. It is where humanity answered first. Evan swallowed. I wish I could offer you more, he said. You already have, Asha replied. She stepped forward and did something unexpected. She hugged him. It was brief and awkward and entirely human. Evan froze for a second, then returned it. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? Evan asked. For proving my people wrong, she replied. The light grew brighter. Asha stepped back. Take care, Evan Calder. You too, Asha, he said. And then she was gone. The house returned to normal. No glow, no pressure, just silence. Evan stood there for a long time. The next morning, the world did not change. People went to work. Children complained about school. News channels argued about politics and weather and futures no one could agree on. But something was different, not visibly, not clearly, subtly. Scientists noticed strange data patterns they could not explain. Philosophers began asking sharper questions. Artists dreamed of unfamiliar skies. Engineers felt restless, like something important waited just out of reach. Humanity did not know it had been noticed. But it had. Far beyond Earth, Asha stood before, minds vast and careful, patient and old. She spoke not of strength, not of conquest, not of destiny. She spoke of a man who opened a door. She spoke of a species that helped first and justified later. She spoke of chaos that cared. Some listeners were afraid, some were doubtful, but none were indifferent. Time passed, years, quietly. Evan grew older. His life remained simple. He changed jobs. He moved houses. He told no one what had happened, not because he was told not to, but because it felt private, like something sacred. Sometimes he looked at the stars and wondered. Sometimes he felt watched. Not in fear, in recognition. One evening, long after the memory had softened into something warm, Evan felt it again. That gentle shift. The device appeared on his table without sound. Asha returned, older in ways that had nothing to do with age. They call you neighbors now, she said. Evan smiled. That's an improvement. They have been nizzling, she continued. Learning, watching how you struggle with yourselves. We do that a lot, Evan said. They believe, she said carefully, that when humanity reaches the stars, you will change the galaxy. That's a lot of pressure, Evan said. Yes, she agreed. That is why they are preparing.
For what?
Evan asked. For you? She said. Not as rulers, not as saviors, but as participants. Humanity was not invited because it was powerful. Humanity was invited because it cared. And somewhere, far beyond the edge of known space, the universe adjusted. Again, because a human once answered a knock in the rain. The stars were no longer silent. They were waiting.